our last session, our last lecture about the d4 rare lines, rare but dangerous. So here we go. d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, and g3. This is another very popular move order. I have played it myself with white countless times. And white wants to play the Catalan, while at the same time avoiding several variations, several dangerous variations, like the variation with fourth move, dc4. For example, if we play this move, and white goes here, now there is dc4 with lots of theory, but white wants to play here to avoid it. And he also avoids these check variations, check and here, which now doesn't make any sense. So after this, only now he can play c4, and he has avoided 60% of the theory of the Catalan. So after g3, I would say that chess players are lucky because this move b5 exists. In a practical sense, this move is the best. In a theoretical sense, again, I don't see any real problem with this move b5. It is one of these rare cases, and as I mentioned even yesterday, it's one of these rare cases where a less theoretical move is better than the theoretical move. How is this possible? Because this is only transposing to the main line. That's the answer. d5 is a playable move, but not the regular move order of the Catalan. So that's why you can find another move. b5, our idea is very simple. We want to put the bishop here and solve the problem of the Catalan bishop. And we also want to stop c4 by white and gain space on the queen side. Believe me, if you learn the ideas well, not even so well, just generally the ideas, and your rating is up to 2400, I guarantee that you will have an advantage in almost every game with black. And why is this happening? You can see it also in the games by grandmasters. Because white has very difficult moves to make, and on the contrary, black has easy moves to make. So having easy moves to make in chess is a very big deal, and it is often the same as having an advantage, because if it's easy to play the best moves, our opponent cannot keep up forever. At some moment, he will make the mistake. So we play b5. White's main move is, of course, bishop g2. As you will see, there is also this move, queen d3. You will witness the following thing. We hardly need to know any theory. Our moves are so natural that this line is very easy to learn and very effective in practice. By the way, let me remind you that I have played this position many times with both black and white. And almost in every game, black was better. But not in every game, because I managed to have a big advantage against Le Quan Liem. I have included this game here. We will see some good games by white as well. So let's see, for example, queen d3, threatening this pawn on b5. We can play a6. The move bishop a6 is also playable and good. But a6, and white has a bad version of this opening. He gains the center, but with very misplaced pieces, and with black having gained some space on the queen side with this b5 move. This b5 move is very important. For example, white goes here, we play d5, and after this, we can play knight f d7 or even knight e4. We already have acquired good counterplay, even after this move. Imagine this move, if we compare this position to a King's Indian attack, white has played this c3, d4 moves instead of having the pawn here and the other pawn on c2. He is bringing the pawn to us, which means that later he will help us to open up the queen side. Another good thing about this line, these lines in general after b5, is that our bishop can go here, and quite often if this pawn is here, our bishop after several moves goes to a6, and he is never a typical bad Catalan bishop. By the way, what is the name of this opening? All these versions of an early b5 move are called Polish defense or Polish variation. So this is one version of the Polish variation. So let's see now. First of all, we start with bishop g2. Black can also play d5, but our move will be bishop b7, this move. And now white can play several moves. The most logical is to castle. Black can play d5, he can play bishop e7, he can play a5, this is a latest fashion a5. However, in my view, the best move is c5. We attack the center, as I have mentioned before, we attack the center because, and we open up the center, although we are lagging in development, because white's pieces are not well developed for an attack. By the way, if somebody asks which opening is objectively better for black, let's clarify that, please. We have seen this position where we play b5, and we have seen this position, just a second, this position with c4 instead of b4 here, and g3, and here I suggest this move a6 and b5. So if they ask which system is better, this one for black or the one that we are showing today with b5, the one that we are showing today with b5 is more trustworthy and better. But this is not anybody's fault. The job of an analyst is to bring out to the light and to the chess players the objective value of one system. It is not his responsibility whether one system is objectively good, bad, or better than another. Yes? So, in my view, this system with b5 is really very good. Let's see. Here, bishop g2, he castles, and c5. Now, whenever white goes a4 in any position, black will 95% answer with b4. So, for example, here a4, b4. That's the answer after every a4 move, as we will understand. Let's suppose that white here plays c3. This is a common move. Now, once again, black can play several moves. He can play bishop e7. He can play d5. He can play a5. But the proposed move is knight a6. Listen, please. There is a rule by who? By me and my 37 years of chess studying. There is a rule which says that when white plays a4, first of all, we will definitely, 95%, we will play b4. And when he takes on b4, we must be in position to capture back with a piece. For example, if we play here and he goes a4, we play b4, we are forced to play b4, and now after taking, we would rather capture back with a knight or with a bishop. Why is that? Because if we take with a pawn, nothing much is really going on. In the computer, this position is about equal, but white will place his bishop here and his knight to b3. Look, this is an annoying little move. And now this pawn on b4 is removing, stealing all the energy from our position. Instead of a pawn there, we would rather have a knight on b4, for example. So this is something that we need to know. Whenever he goes a4, we play b4. However, when he plays c3 and he takes on b4, we must be able to take with a piece. So here we go. Let's suppose he goes c3. You will see that by a magical way, this position has almost zero theory. And once again, it only has plans. So we play knight a6. Very good move, knight a6. The idea is after a4 to play b4. And the idea is to keep this diagonal open. We don't want to put the knight here because this is blocking the bishop, and we are very sensitive to some e4, d5 ideas. So the knight belongs to a6. Now, white can play all sorts of moves, and we are lucky. We don't have to memorize absolutely nothing, only plans. So here we go. For example, he takes on c5. We can take with a bishop or with a knight. With a knight, it makes more sense. You will notice that exactly because white has very difficult moves to make, very often black will be better soon after the opening. For example, white plays this move. Shall we play queen b6 or shall we take on g2 and queen b6? What do you think? It's one of these two, either queen b6 or take on g2 and queen b6. What do you think? Very good. We have already mentioned that we must always take on g2 because his king is exposed on g2. So he takes here, and now we can play queen b6 or even a6. Let's suppose I play this move. We are already long way out of book. However, black is better here for a reason that we will meet very often, which is the reason white doesn't have pawn play. White only has some active pieces. For example, here and here, he develops his pieces. Indeed, he has active pieces, but he doesn't have real pawn play. For example, here, at some moment, not right away, but at some moment, we will play d5 and e5, many moves from now. It will take many moves. But black does have pawn play. He has this idea with d5 and e5. And in the long run, he also has this idea, a5 and b4 with a minority attack. White doesn't have any of these things. So already, after, let's say, a move like queen c7, black is considerably better, not slightly, but much better here already. White has committed several mistakes. For example, he goes here, no matter what we play, we are much better. After this move, annoying little move, and let's say d5, or let's say h6 first. Look, black is better. We put the rooks in the center, white is under pressure. This is one of the literally hundreds of possible positions where black immediately grabs the initiative. Let's check after c5 and c3 threatening a4 and after b4 to take on b4. I repeat, we do not panic. Even if this happens, it's only very slightly better for white. So knight a6. Only a computer can beat us in such a position. Let's suppose, so this is already a mistake, we take it. Let's suppose, yes, here we take on g2. So let's suppose he plays this very natural looking move. We don't need to do anything miraculous. We will just play bishop e7. Our plan is to castle, then maybe play d5, h6, and take the pair of bishops with very good play. Once again, white can play so many different moves. Let's suppose he plays here. We castle. And he takes here in order to play e4. I have again very good news. This e4 advance is hardly ever dangerous. After e4, we can do all three things. We can play d5, d6, and d7. What is d7? We can ignore his threat of e5 and keep our pawn on d7. For example, d5 is very good. And after e5, bishop e7, look, black has already started long ago his attack on the queen side. And where is white to play in the style of King's Indian attack? Now start very slowly here and later here and bishop f1 and bishop d3. The game will have finished 10 times in black's favor before he does any of these things. So after a move like e4, we can play d5 and we have already very powerful counterplay. We can play d6 in the style of Sicilian. For example, after this, I would have played maybe a move like this, or knight c7, or queen b6. And here, once again, it is not really a problem. We have a very healthy position. We have gained some space on the queen side. We have healthy position. And after e4, so d5, d6, or d7, we can even ignore this move e5. White doesn't really have an attack after that. We can play, for example, such a move. He goes e5, we go here. Later, we may break with d4. Black simply has a very nice game, very nice counterplay. For example, I don't know, here we can take. If he takes with a pawn, I will happily put the knight on d5, on d3. And if he takes with the knight, I want to see his king there. Now listen, should I give this check? No, we don't want to exchange queens. No, we don't want to exchange queens here generally, because we feel that white has weaknesses, some weak pawn here, which is a little bit hanging, some weaknesses left and right. If we exchange the queens, we cannot take advantage of that. We can play a move like this, for example, here, and now let's say we can break in the center with d6. Sorry, here, let me not blunder something. And break in the center with d6, which is not even necessary, but it is logical. So here we have some sort of very good Sicilian. Okay, you can say, call it even French defense. It can come from all different lines. So here, bishop g5, bishop e7, knight bd2, castles. Let's suppose that he goes a4. Very good. As always, we will play b4. You will see that it is very easy for white to fall into a worse position. For example, he takes here, we take with a piece, and he plays this move. Look, black is immediately better, just as simple as that. He will take on d4. This is another very common move, taking on d4. He will capture on g2, and here black is simply better. The only why, because this pawn is weak, this square is weak. We have the center, although we won't be in a hurry to play d5. And please be careful, we won't play this move. This move is giving us a sense of safety, I know, but it is also weakening these squares. It is a lot preferable to put this pawn here to stop knight d5. For the moment, I would have played this move. For example, he takes it, we take with the knight, he goes here. Let me play a move like queen b6, and let's say a6. And this is a very clear advantage for black, very clear advantage. Just as simple as that. His b2 pawn is weak. We have a nice knight on b3. We can use the center to play d5, e5. Huge advantage for black. Although it seems that I played natural moves with white, and yet these moves were not natural. White has difficult moves to make. Look, I played this natural-looking move. I took here again natural-looking, and I developed my pieces. And after that, white is immediately much worse. So we are happy with this line, really happy. You have many points to make, believe me. So let's try something else. Let's go back. b5, bishop g2. Here, he castles. c5. Yes, we can play other moves, but I like this c5 move. Let's suppose that here he just takes it. He can do that. We take with the bishop. And for example, he plays bishop g5. I will calculate to see whether something is wrong, something is hanging. For example, I can easily play this move, which is my favorite move, returning to e7. I can play h6. It feels a little bit clumsy to put the queen on f6 so early. We do have a small problem with development. So let's suppose we just castle. He goes here. I go bishop e7. I could have played other moves as well. He plays e4. In fact, this is hanging. Yes, we could even take on e4. Yes. Okay. Let's suppose I'm making a point here that already even here we have a good game. Very good. Or let's suppose he plays c3. I can play d5. I can even play knight c6 now. I feel that I can play knight c6. because he doesn't have a pawn armada here, e4 and d4. For example, he plays this. We can play, you see, pretty much every move is good. We can play this, we can play this, resulting into a very nice Sicilian. I'm showing you that every of the logical plans that we will see here makes a lot of sense. So that was dc5. Let's suppose all of a sudden he plays a4. We push b4. And for example, c3. After this, we have two good moves for black. One move is knight a6. And the other move is to take on c3. So one move is this. For example, he pushes c4. Now be careful. After this c4, he is threatening, he has a typical threat. What is wrong with bishop e7 here, for example? What is wrong with bishop e7? Why is this move dangerous, to say the least? What is the typical idea? If you leave this pawn for too long, this is coming, very good, d5, we take it, and now either knight h4 or knight g5. This is the typical move. Also knight g5, threatening this and intending to come here and to come to f4. So such things can be dangerous. So after c4, we cannot take en passant, his pawn was on c3. After c4, we must take on d4. He takes here. Typically, I take on g2, and I play knight c5, or queen b6, or bishop e7. Here, castles, knight c5, and here. Who will suggest a good and useful move for black here, please? In this very good position, who will suggest a good move for black? In my view, the best move is a6. Queen b6 is also good. a6 to control this square on b5. How about this move? This move strategically is wrong here. I get angry. I see even grandmasters play. I'm not even talking about knight c6. Of course, here this is powerful. But strategically speaking, this move is wrong because it offers squares to white. No, we must play a6. Look at this typical position, which we will see several times. For example, e4, which is even dropping, it doesn't matter. Queen c7, let's suppose it wasn't dropping. Here, d6, this is our setup. a6, b4, and d6. And if they ask, what do we do next? We play g6 and e5 at a good moment. Here, white doesn't know what to do. Black has a great, really great game. And if we play more objective moves, now, if you ask me, why didn't I play this logical looking move to put the queen on b7? There is nothing wrong with this move. It's a good move, a very good move. But generally after this, I don't want to exchange queens. I don't want to play here. I want to keep the queens. So, yes, this is playable. This, I don't really want to exchange this knight for this bishop either. I would have played a6. For example, here protecting the bishop. d6 is the move. Here, threatening some little things left and right. I will protect it. And later, our plan is g6 and e5 in this rare version of the Polish variation. Let's go back once again. Second by second, minute by minute, we understand the position better because it doesn't really have concrete theory, but it only has plans. So after here, he castles. c5 is the move. We saw c3, we saw dc5. Let's suppose he plays a4. Before, this was played in this game. And c4, two good moves for black. Which are the two good moves? C takes d4 and b takes c3. This b takes c3 is interesting, but nevertheless, we are helping him with his development. I mean, yes, we can play here. It looks good. Let's see. Rook here. I can play maybe d5. in the long run, I have this nice little square here, while he doesn't have b5 square. So we are lagging in the development a bit, but we don't seem to have any problem. We seem to be doing quite well. However, helping him to develop with tempo always feels a little bit risky. It is nevertheless playable. The other line is this. I take on g2, I go knight a6, and with typical stuff, for example, here, bishop e7, the knight goes to c5, we castle. Now I can give this check on b7, his queen is not coming. Let me give this check. Should I play d5? Now that his queen is hanging along this file, I may consider it. But generally, I prefer to restrict this knight. Look, I will play d6, g6, and a6, very skillful moves. And at a good moment, I want to kick him back. For the moment, I keep the position like this, and black stands very well. I may even later put my bishop here. Okay. After e5, we will see in some games we can continue with f5, these ideas. Okay. So let's check how this game was played. Here, castles, c5, and a4, we play this. And knight bd2 was played. So who will suggest one or two good moves for black? Let's see. If they ask, look, when we don't need to study theory, there is also something bad coming with this, not only advantages. We naturally, because we don't know theory, we won't know which is the best move objectively. We will know 2-3 candidate moves for sure, but we won't know which is the best move. In order to do that, you must study a lot of theory, yes? But I don't think this is necessary. So, which moves are good here? The move knight a6 appears to be quite interesting and good. The move cd4 is very good, and this is what was played in the game. The move bishop e7 makes sense, and the move d5 also makes sense. Out of all these moves, I do not consider d5 necessary. Now, I will ask my computer for a minute. Yes, I will ask my computer. So it suggests cd4 with an advantage for black, and maybe even knight c6 this time. But you see, this is not the way to play the position all the time to know the exceptions. No, then we will grow old learning this variation. No thanks. So c takes d4 is very natural and good. He takes it. Now, he played knight b3. If he takes it, we will capture here. And now, queen b6 is playable, bishop e7 is playable, and just as simple as that, black is better because white has a backward pawn on c2. This will play a role one day. And if he pushes this pawn, we will take en passant on c3, and black will have a permanent weak, white, I mean, will have a permanent, so white has a backward pawn on c2, and if he pushes this pawn, we will take en passant, and white will have a weak pawn on c3. By the way, this would have been a horrible move. I comment this move with 2 question marks. After that, he takes it. And now white is considerably better. His bishop from c1 automatically becomes much better than our bishop. However, white here needs to play e4. White needs to play this with a huge advantage because this is coming here. His knight is coming to c4. And we have a terrible position. Look at this, please. This is really terrible. We destroyed everything. By the way, we don't even have pawn play. The position is symmetrical. Okay, after this, we are hoping for which move, please? Who will suggest a terrible move by white this time? Although we do not intend to reach this position. Who has enough imagination to find a terrible positional move for white? And the punishment of this move, of course. Let's see. Quite often, we want a bad move, which also shows high skills. Very good. Bravo. This is 2 question marks. If somebody cannot see that this move is bad, then he may even commit this mistake. Because of check, threatening the knight, forcing white to take on d5 and fixing our pawn structure. And again, black is better. Okay, let's go back. I am not curious about this knight c6 move. We simply develop the pieces. Let's say d5. This time d5 is very good. Look, this is weak. If he pushes c4, we will take on c3. d5 is very good, but not at all necessary. We can play even this move. For example, here, check, here, and knight c6. He takes it, we take with the queen, of course, and black is simply much better. d5, let's say queen here. This has nothing to do with the opening anymore. This has to do with chess. He has a weak pawn on c2, and if he pushes to c4, we take en passant on c3, and he has a weak pawn on b3. We take here, and black is simply better. Let's say a5. Very good. So let's see what happened in this very instructive game. He took on d4, and knight b3 was played. Just a second. So after knight b3, black can play all sorts of moves. He played bishop e7, natural and good. White played a5. There are some ideas, some very vague ideas with this. And after knight takes a6, rook takes a6, and some tricks left and right. How to stop it? If it's possible with a typical move, he castled. Knight a6 is good, and even a6 is good. Yes, I would like to put the knight there, move it at some moment to c5, and later play a6. Yes, the so-called move order. If you play here, you cannot use the knight so easily. While if you move the knight 2 times, then you can play a6. In the game, black was not afraid of this a6. He castled short, and after taking, he played a6. According to my analysis, this move is even better, knight a6, and black is simply better. If they ask, why is black better? First of all, because this pawn is weak in long term. And secondly, who can tell why is black better here? Who can give a strategical reason why black is better in this position? Except for the weak c2 pawn. Very good. We have more central pawns, or if we want to explain the same thing even more scientifically, because we have extra pawns in this particular structure, white doesn't have pawn play. Look, white cannot use his pawns to play. While black does have pawn play. Which is black's pawn play? d5 and later e5 after many moves. We are not in a hurry. d5 and e5, or let's say d6 e5, kicking the knight away, and then d5. At some moment, we want to occupy the center. White played here, knight c5. And here, rook c8 is good, a6 is good, h6 is also good. By the way, let's have a look at this. Let's suppose here b2 is dropping. Let's suppose we are here. Look, we are here. And he goes to d6. This knight d6 is in fact a very unhealthy blockade. It's an unhealthy blockade. First of all, even this pawn is dropping, but regardless of that, this knight is under attack by our pieces. It's very unstable here. We can play these moves, we can play these moves, even exchange it with knight e4 or even with knight b7. So such strategies do not really work generally in this opening. Let's see how these players played. Knight a6 was good. Black played a6. By the way, white has a rating of 2364, which means he is a high-level player, and yet the moves are so difficult that he is unable to cope with the difficulties, and he ended up worse immediately. And with the black pieces, the player is named Kovacevic with a rating of 2470. So rook e1 was played. queen c8. There are several other moves. Maybe even this move, but no, I don't like it. Knight d5. I don't like it at all. He played queen c8. Another playable move is, of course, d5. Queen c8, bishop f4, and h6. Could he play knight c6? Yes, 100% it was good. But he played this. And queen d2. Let's have a look at this move. e4. Remember, after e4, I have all possible three plans. That doesn't mean that they are all equally good, but they are all possible. Which are the three plans? d5, d6, d7. Very good. So here we can possibly play d5, but I don't like it in this particular position. d6, I don't consider it necessary. I will play with my pawn on d7. I will simply play knight c6, takes, and e5, bishop e7. This is a very, very good version of which Sicilian, please? This strongly resembles a very good version of the Sicilian Taimanov, I would say, Paulsen Taimanov. Queen c8, was it a difficult move to find? Well, it's a good move because the main reason is that it is protecting the bishop on c8. Because remember that between the battle of these two bishops, when they are looking at each other, who wins? Always the protected bishop is winning. And what to do? Either close the diagonal, find a good way to close the diagonal, or protect your own bishop, or be very careful with the calculations. So here, black played this move to protect this bishop on b7. And black is clearly better. Queen d2, he played this move. Some calculation, because if he takes it and he takes it, rook b8, black regains the pawn and he is much better. So after this, here, c3 was played, b takes c3. Unfortunately, b takes c3, and queen c7, and black is better, much better. White played this, and white captured here. Black captured here. And bishop takes f3, just as simple as that. And he has one extra pawn here, and rook b6, black won a pawn, and he even kept the advantages of his position, and later he won the game. Let's check other games now. So this is one bleach game that I played 10 years ago. Let's check. e6, g3, b5. We don't really need any high-level analysis. Later, you will see games by 2,700 players and 2,600 and even 2,800, where they play the same ideas in general, without really knowing something very deeply. Of course, I will show you which I consider to be the best way for white to play. So here, bishop b7. Yes, this move is playable, and this is just another way to handle this system, a little bit different, but my proposed idea is this. He castled and c5. Can I play bishop e7? Yes, I can. So dc5. Let's suppose once again that he plays this. So b4, and here bc3 is good. cd4 is good. Here knight a6. Bishop e7. Yes, this position is good again. Here d5 is good. Our knight will go to b4 soon. Okay. c5, let's check other ideas. For example, c3. Who remembers the move after c3, please? What should we play? Which is the best move? Pretty much every move is acceptable, but the best is knight a6. This is all you need to know. And if a4, we go b4 and we capture with a piece, with a knight in particular. So here, bishop e7. And knight bd2, we castle. We are not at all afraid of this. Takes, takes, and here, remember, d6, d5, d7. Which one is better? I would say that here I like this move. And if he takes it, I want to take with the bishop. Let's see what happened here. Rook e1. We are not forced to stop his e4 move. We can play d5, yes, of course, but we can also ignore his e4 advance he took here. By the way, if he plays this, he may face such problems. We want to take this bishop now and double his pawns. So he took it, he played d4. Let's see what I played. I took on d4, and I played queen b6. And after e5, bishop e7, black has a perfectly reasonable and good game. At some moment, we want to break with d6. Very good. This is, in fact, the analysis. It wasn't played like this. Let's see how it was played. White played dc5. Bishop takes, and knight bd2. Black castles, and a4. By the way, how about this move? How about this move intending e4? What should we play now? Knight a6 or d5 or maybe something else? Let's see. Let's see. Should we play queen b6? This is interesting, but only doing half of the job. How can black win immediately, force white to resign immediately? Of course, he takes on f2, because if king takes, knight g4, knight e3 is trapping the queen. Very good. So let's suppose he plays c4. Now we can play b4, but it's not the same. I want this move with a white pawn on c2, not with a white pawn on c4. So in fact, a better move here is b takes here, and even a6. Even this is totally acceptable and good. I repeat, I want my pawn here when his pawn is on c2. Another very good move for black is to take and play d5. For example, here, knight bd7. Black is again slightly better. Why? Because black is playing with his pieces and his pawns, and white is playing only with his pieces. For example, here, we take it, we play h6, and let's say bishop d6 with very good play for black. Rook b8, everything is under control. We are even threatening this move. What is the theory? These moves are the theory. This is what you are going to face when you are playing. This is what you are going to face. Even if you are an international master or a grandmaster, most players will play moves like this. So here, let's check this game. My opponent played a4, I played this, and he played knight b3, bishop e7, and bishop f4. Here is one thing that you need to be now aware of. Look here, when we see this queen operating in this diagonal, we need to be careful. h6 is a big mistake. How will the game continue after h6? After h6, we have blundered. He will take here, and he will play this move, and we are losing. So I will tell you how to face this tactic once and for all. We face this tactic by protecting the bishop on b7. This is how you will remember it. All these bishop takes f6 and knight g5 stories, we stop them by protecting the bishop on g7. That's the way, on b7, this bishop. So we can play queen c8 and black is better. So we can play queen c8 and black is better, or even queen c7 and black is better. Next move can be h6, or we put the pieces in the center. Very good. Now, for example, let's suppose he plays here, we take this. Or let's suppose that we are even here, look, and I play a random move, and he plays this, there is nothing happening, nothing going on when this is protected. I can take here, I can even play g6 and continue fighting. Very good. So let's see how we played here. And I played d5, d6. However, knight a6 is absolutely playable once again, because this is not a dangerous blockade. I will play here. He will be forced to take, and black is clearly slightly better or much better. Why? Because white has a backward pawn on c2. That's the reason. Just as simple as that. Let's see how we played. I played d6. He played this, knight a6. Black is clearly better. Here, he went back. Queen c7. White doesn't really know what to do. He doesn't have pawn play. You see, that's the reason. He's moving his pieces up and down, but he cannot win. You cannot win by just moving your pieces. So I played here. Yes, some nice moves. e5, and finally, after e5 and a6, I will trap his knight. That's his problem here. His problem is that I will trap his knight. And I won the knight, and later I won the game. Let's check a few more games. This is a very nice game between Pandev with the white pieces, 2380, and Petrosyan Tigran, 2643, not the world champion. This game was played in 2012. So castles, c5, and a4. Very good. Let's see another line. c3, knight a6. He goes here, and he takes it, and e3. This kind of playing, by playing bishop g5, eliminating this knight, and playing e3, queen e2, this is an interesting way. If it is done carefully, white can fight for some advantage or something. So knight here. White's idea, he drove our queen here, is to play some a4 moves. Black can play d5, for example, with very good play. Let's see how these players have played. c5, a4. Of course, he played this. And here, he had to choose between cd4 and b takes c3. He chose this move, bc3. And white took with a pawn. He could also take with a knight. Knight a6 is good. And a5. Let me give another variation. Here, bishop e7. Knight bd2, we castle, takes, and e4. Here is the question. Black to play and get an advantage. How should black continue here to get an advantage? Let's see. The only problem is that we have 2 or 3 good ways to play, and which one is the best? That's the only problem. So let's see. I like this move, cd4, cd4, and now look at this move, knight before. Yes, I also have d5 with an advantage for black, but knight before, I really like this move. And next I will play a5, because this time there is no white knight going to b5. So I will play here and a5. For example, he plays a move like this, a5. He plays something, and then d5 and bishop here. And as promised, this bishop is never left passive. It can go here at a good moment. Black is clearly better in this position. Let's say I place the queen here very safely. We put the rooks into play. This is weak. Black is simply better. Very good. So what you will meet several times is that the players with the white pieces don't really know what to do in this opening. Here we castle and e4. Let's see how this game was played. Finally, after knight a6, white played this move, a5. Our analysis was bishop g5 here. He played a5. Not magical tricks, please. We are lagging in development. Let's simply play here and castle. If white creates a threat, then we will think how to deal with it. So we castle and knight bd2. I see this move. Yes, I can play bishop e4, but my bishop may be exposed on e4, or maybe he had already a knight here. So I see this move. We have explained how to react here. Yes? How to play after such a move, targeting the h7 pawn. How to play to protect the bishop on b7 is the answer. In this particular position, I can put it here, or maybe even here, to take care of this bishop so that it won't be hanging. So rook b8. If we play h6, we lost here. So you see, you must understand immediately, queen c2, intending some take, knight g5 stories, what to do? Protect this bishop. So here, knight g5, we take it. Let's see what happened. This move was played, and now rook c8. I also like this, followed by knight b4, rook c8, rook b8. You see, he sees this bishop hanging, he protects it. And c4, knight b4. Black has the initiative on the queen side. White doesn't really know what to do. Yes. So far we are playing, and we have never seen so far a clear plan for white. Why is that? Because either there is no clear plan the way white played, or if there is, it is very difficult to find it. Very difficult. Well, one may ask, what would you advise to white if you were teaching this position from white's point of view? How have you played with white here? We will come to that, of course. So be patient. Very good. Let's check now. So here black was better. Let's check a few more moves. Yes, much better for black all the time. Very unhealthy position for white. Okay. Let us now check this game. So the player who lost with the white pieces is now using this system with the black pieces. He was convinced. c5 here, knight a6. Now I would like to show you some very bad strategy by black and how white can get an advantage if we don't know what we are doing. I play this move, already slightly inaccurate. Who will suggest the best move for white, please? Not a big deal, but a4, because after b4, he will take it. Look, castles, knight b3, a5, and now look, white wants to play here, exchange this knight, and then exchange the light square bishops, and then be left with a better knight against a worse black dark square bishop. Who would use this strategy very often? Who knows? Which famous player would use this strategy very often in various openings? Which famous endgame player? Which famous endgame player? It was Ulf Andersson. It is Ulf Andersson. Ulf is still on this earth. So d6, look, we eliminate this, and at the same time, we eliminate the pair of bishops. We happily take with the king on g2. Now black starts suffering. e3, and the knight is coming to d3, and white is always very happy to exchange the queens. Look, and now we are suffering. White may start playing also from this side, and look, this knight is permanently targeting this pawn. White now has a risk-free game. So let's check what happened after knight a6. I cannot really call this a big mistake. Yes, here it's still about equal. But this is, let's say, more ambitious. a4 and b4 and knight bd2. We already know this, and bishop here. And we already know that after c4, we will take it. Let me show this once again. Take here, knight c5, develop the pieces with a6 here, not a5. And later our plan is somehow d6, g6, and e5. Very good. So, if you are asking me how to win with black, well, nobody says that we are winning. Yes, we are maybe slightly better, and that's all. So knight bd2 was played, and bishop e7. I like this example. If dc5, how will black continue, please? Black will be clever enough to play which move? Black will be clever enough to take here and take on c5. And obviously, black is slightly better, at least, because c3 is weak and c5 square is weak. Let's see, white played here. And d5, instead of d5, this is a better move according to my analysis. And e4, black to play, once again, black to play and get an advantage. Let's see. Black to play and get an advantage. There is one very scientific way for black to get an advantage. Let's see. First of all, who would suggest a strategically bad move for black that can be played? I will do that. The move is cd4. After cd4, we are left with a pawn on b4. We don't want that. We're supposed to avoid it. Yes, so here we won't play cd4 just like that. This black pawn on b4 is interfering with our own pieces. So let's check, please. Very good. Very good. The players who have exchanged many pawns, these are the players who are right. Bravo. We take here, perfect. He will take with a pawn, and now we hesitate between two moves, either knight b4 or d5. If you ask me which one is better, I don't know. I need to calculate. They both look very nice, knight b4. For example, here, a5 or d5. Here, d5. And knight e4 can be good, but it can also be a necessary risk. This move is good enough. Black has already started his good play on the queen side, and white is hoping one day to attack, I don't know, here or whatever against our king. This plan is so slow that he should not even use it. So we are learning again this plan. It's all about learning plans. Theory is unimportant. Black played d5. This is only the second best move. He should castle. And if this, remember this idea, we take it, and he takes with a pawn. If he takes with a knight, once again, I see two bishops staring at each other. Which bishop can win? Which bishop can benefit? The protected one, the one on g2. How can we fight against these tactics? Either calculate everything perfectly and be very careful, or protect the bishop from b7, or close the diagonal. For example, play d5 here. These are the possible solutions, and we must think which one is the best. I believe this is the best. We protect the bishop with this very natural move. Here, we play knight d5. Even knight e8 is not bad, but knight d5 with very active play for black. At some moment much later, we will break this pawn with d6, in some endgame, maybe even with f6. Very good. Okay, let's see how they played. Instead of castling short, black played d5. Let's say I am not a very big fan of this move d5 in general. Yes, it's good, but I prefer somehow manage things with pieces mostly. So here, rook c8, it is obvious that white only has pawn play, piece play. Black has pawn play and piece play. So he played here and maybe f6 later. Of course, he took with a knight. And now this is a very, very clear advantage for black. Why? Because the b4 square is weak, the b2 pawn is weak, and we have an extra central pawn. Look what happened now. Of course, our bishop, as promised, is never a bad piece. It can always go here. Look what happened now. White was kicked out of the chessboard. He even won a pawn, and look now, f6, e5, d4. This is what I mean we have pawn play. We have extra pawns in the center, and if we manage, we push them all. We are even threatening h5 now, because the knight from g4 ran out of squares. So he played this, and here, and black is completely winning. I see his pawns, and I'm scared. Okay, and bishop c8 or whatever else, and black won very easily. And yet white had a rating of close to 2200. He failed to put a nice fight. Now, I will show you one game which I played in 2011, which is one of my very best games, and I would put it in top 500 chess games that have ever been played in the history of chess. So this is one of my best chess games, and I would put it top 500, not to say top 300. So I remember some Greek grandmaster, some fellow grandmaster told me that he was jealous that he didn't play this game himself. Let's check this game. This game was played in France in 2011. My opponent is, I believe, from Germany. His name is Bakert. His rating is 2465, and my rating was 2600 and 5 little points, 2605. It was played in 2011. So let's see. I played here. I quickly realized by the way my opponent was playing and by the speed that he was playing, which wasn't a very high speed, that my opponent was a player with this characteristic. He was very tough to beat. 2465 is a level that is much lower than mine. That doesn't mean that you win in every game. You may even lose. But I realized that these players can hardly ever beat me, but they are not easy to win. So I needed to play really good chess in order to beat him. He played b3. Guess what? By move number 6, I have absolutely no doubt that him as well as me, we were both out of book. That's the nature of this opening. But then again, white doesn't really threatening anything. It's not really threatening anything. I played bishop here. Generally, I prefer simple solutions. Should I play knight a6? No, there is no a4 threat. I will simply go b4. He played here. I castled. He played c4. I took on c4, and he took on c5. And I played a nice little move, knight a6, to capture on c5 with my knight. He took here, knight takes c5. He played this move, and I played rook c8. Black is slightly better. However, the pressure on the c4 pawn is somehow neutralized by white's pressure on my d pawn, which is also weak. Yes, this pawn, either I put it here or here. If I put it here, I will exchange it. So here it is also hanging. So if I had this pawn here, for example, then this is a more classical advantage. I don't have any weakness, and my opponent has a weak pawn on c4. Now look what happened. He played this, and I played f5, intending some sort of attack. I had already seen a wonderful idea for black. I don't know if you have ever seen this game. Maybe I have shown it in one of my lectures. And what took here? It is now a very difficult question of how to take here. By the way how I played disagrees with the computer, but I will be very strict this time. The computer is wrong and I am right. Only this time. So how should black continue here? A very difficult exercise. We won't waste too much time on it because we have many other things to see. Although this typical play is the most basic. Look what happened. I took with a bishop. This is the best move. And he played queen d2. And here I realized already a few moves before that, yes, his c4 pawn is weak, but I cannot really move my knight from c5. Whenever I move this knight, there is pressure on my d pawn. And then I realized that white wants to move his knight from f3, and then his knight, we exchange the light square bishops, can always go to d3 to annoy my knight on c5 and put pressure on d7. So I immediately played it, in fact, because I have seen it in advance. I played this wonderful move, bishop takes f3. I remember very well that my opponent was shocked and he somehow almost fell out of the chair. So I took on f3. He took with the bishop, a very counterintuitive move. But of course, how should black play now? I played which move? I played, of course, bishop f6 to eliminate the pair of bishops and leave him with an impotent light square bishop. So here black has a good advantage. I played this move intending queen e5 centralization. Here my opponent, or several times in this game, he made it clear to me that he is a very tough defender. So he played this to stop queen e5. My plan now was, we played left and right, to attack and force him to move away and take here and play queen e5. That was the whole story, to put my queen on e5 to centralize my queen. And now I will start attacking. He played some moves, very cunning moves. I played h4. Look, and he played queen c2. Very nice idea. I take and he takes, and now he wants to use the h5 to his advantage. His queen now here is protecting this rook, and he wants to play here. For example, if I play rook f5 in this position, I play this wonderful move. We will come to that. If I play this, he will play here. And after this, I don't really have anything. And my king is very airy. So look what I played in the style of Petrosyan. I played king f7. This game is also analyzed somewhere in some French magazine, I believe. Queen d2 and king e7. In fact, my king is very safe on e7 because he is protected by a powerful centralized queen on e5 and a powerful knight on c5. And if they ask, what is your plan now, my dear friend, to threaten, start creating threats against his king, forcing white to exchange the queens, and then get winning endgame. And this is what happened in the end. So, okay, I kept on playing with big accuracy until the end. This is a very good game, one of the very deep strategical game without many combinations. Now let's check something else, please. So let's check. Just a second. Let's check some big boys. For example, Caruana Carlsen. That's a Bleach game. But it is always interesting to see what is happening. How did Caruana, one of the very best theoreticians in the world, how did he play? First of all, Carlsen played this. He didn't play c5. c3, and he played a5. This is some kind of fashion. a4 and b4. If he takes on b4, Carlsen will take with a bishop. So he castles. This is a slightly different version. d5. Look, knight b3, knight bd7 was played. Queen c2, c5, very close to the spirit that we are handling this position. Knight c to e4. Here takes, and here. In the end, Caruana managed to win with white. However, according to computer, and we don't even need that to understand that black here has a clear advantage. Carlsen was much better very easily with black after very few moves. So even a top theoretician like Caruana, after 10 moves, he was worse with white, which is even clearer evidence that the players do not really know what to do here. Let's go now to something else. Let's check this game. Just a second. Let's check this game. So this line, p5, e3, became fashionable only for a very little while. So far, we were studying this move, which will be your opponent's main move by far. But let's have a look at this move, e3, a6 now. Should I play b4? No, this b4 is not the same as b4 that we were playing before. This is different because here white will not play a4. We were playing a4. No, we were playing b4 only after this move, a4. Here white will play a3. And this is annoying because we will be left with a slightly weak pawn here on a5 without gaining anything in return. So in fact, after e3, this is the best move. And after a4, now we go b4. On one hand, these moves a6, b4 seem a little bit unconnected with each other. On the other hand, white has played e3 to block his own pieces. So black has a good game now. Castles, this is an equal and unclear game, which black managed to win in the end. g6, bishop g7, equal and unclear game. This is what happened after e3. Let us check, however, another game in this little variation. So this is the game between Yu Yangyi, the super Chinese player, and Vera Sigüenas from Peru in the Olympiad in 2018 in Batumi. So you see the move b4 was played, but a better move, at least from a strategical point of view, is a6. Then I wait to see a4, and only then I play b4. After this, Yu Yangyi played a3, as expected. And he took on b4, and he played knight bd2. And it's not a great deal, but let's say after these weaknesses acquired with this breaking of our pawn structure, white was slightly better, that's all. He played here, the game continued for several moves, and white won in the end. So we understand what we must do. Now, let's check a little bit the line with queen d3. Here we are. Line with queen d3. For example, this game between Daniel Dartha and Hans Moke Niemann the Great. This game was played in 2021. So let's see, b5, queen d3, threatening this pawn on b5. Bishop a6 is also possible, but this natural move is good. And Daniel Dartha played e4 here. If knight bd2, we play c5 with a very good game. Instead, white played e5, but after this, black has very powerful counterplay. This is a good version of the Sicilian. c5 is an even better move for black. Black played d6. Castles and knight d7. This is also very natural and good. We feel that thanks to this pawn on b5, our knight on d5 is stabilized, and we have good play. c5, black stands very well. Knight takes c5. I agree with this choice. We should not get a symmetrical position with dc5. And he takes here, very active pieces for black. Later, the game was a draw. Castles, very active pieces. This resembles more of a Sicilian, and later the game was a draw. That was the game of Niemann, and let's check another game. Just a second. Another game by, where is it? Here. So, yes, Grandmaster Keith Arkell. He played bishop a6. And intending c5, our next move here is going to be c5. For example, here, c5. We want to avoid this move, b4. So bishop a6, intending c5, is also played. There you go. And d5 with good play for black. Bishop from a6. One day, black will play b4. Takes, takes, and they continued this game. Okay, this is the brief queen d3 variation, which is not really a very big problem. Let us now check the biggest of all. Let us check how Kasparov famously beat Lev, another super grandmaster, Lev Psachis, in 1990. 1990, Kasparov has a rating of 2,800 just in 1990. And Psachis has a rating of 2,575. So here, and bishop g2 or bishop g5. In my view, the best way for white to play for an advantage is to play a very quick bishop g5 and to take on f6. This is how white should play, in my view. Before we make all these attacks and connect our pieces and this and that, he should play there and take on f6. Kasparov played bishop g2, and after this move, indeed, he played bishop g5. Let's see what happened. I believe we have to play bishop e7 here. And then castles, knight a6. Let's see, knight bd2. Psachis played c5, and Kasparov knew exactly what to do. He played c3, takes, he took with a c pawn. Let's see. He took this knight on f6. That was his idea when he played bishop g5. And he played this a4, very annoying. Now black was pretty much forced to put this pawn on b4, which is something that he didn't want to do. Kasparov played knight b3 and queen d3, and he has a small advantage, that's all. He won the game later. He won the game after playing wonderfully. Yes, and after, of course, playing very well strategically and tactically. So this move, without huge analysis, which we don't really need. You may find this analyzed in some books. This is how Kasparov played. I will show you my game with Le Quan Liem. This time I have the white pieces. So this game was played in the Isle of Man, Grand Suisse in 2019. The game was a draw, but I had good winning chances. My rating is 2645. In this game, and Le Quan Liem has a rating of 2706. So here I played this immediately, and bishop g2 and knight bd2, and here he played d6. No, he showed his lack of experience in this line. I could feel it immediately. This pawn generally does not fit well on e6. He's weakening the light squares. We want here, with the pawn here, stronger light squares. Additionally, the bishop on e7 controls this diagonal, which is important. After this d6, he stands slightly worse. I played c4, very good move. Now he cannot even play b4. He has to take it, and after knight takes c4, white is already slightly better. My plan is to take this knight on f6 in the style of Kasparov. He castled. I was intending to even take it immediately, but I said, okay, let's better castle. And to my surprise, he played h6, which is another mistake, because I could have taken already. I happily took on f6 immediately, and I played queen d2. This is another good move because I wanted to avoid this move and threaten these ideas all the time. With the queen on d2, this is what I'm doing. And then I got a very big advantage little by little. I stabilized the position. b3, e3, this is the way to play such positions. And even h4, another very powerful move. Intending to play h5 at a good moment, maybe fixing the structures. So I was much better throughout the game. I lost some chances to even win faster. And let's play the game very fast. In the end, the only thing I got was one poor extra pawn. So, and Le Quan Diem played very well in this endgame. He showed his class, and I was like very rusty, although I played very well in the whole tournament because I play very rarely. I couldn't calculate so clearly. And here it is important, very important for white to be able to play this move. I have seen this in advance. This move fixing his pawn structure because black wants to play here and g6 and king g7 with a safe king. But this is hanging. So I played queen a4, very good move here, and to win a tempo, and h5, I had normal winning chances, but soon I blundered the pawn after some wrong mistaken calculation. Then I played a slightly better position, but I couldn't win. It was a draw. Okay, so this is the way with bishop g5 of how to play. Let's check, however, one nice game by the little boss Pragnananda with the black pieces. Let's check. This game was played in 2022. His rating then was 26-24, exactly like my rating at the present moment. Here, bishop b7, castles. He didn't play c5, which is my proposed move. He played bishop e7, which is also absolutely playable. White played bishop g5, and look, he played d5. Indeed, after all, in the bishop g5 systems, which I propose for white, maybe the solution for black is to switch to this b5 version. And here it seems that black is doing okay. He can control the situation and he's doing okay. This is one of the rare moments where after a5, rare conditions, we won't push b4, obviously. We will play a6. Knight bd2 is maybe inaccurate, and now c5, black is doing very well. After that, black is slowly taking over, of course. He castled. Now we are, I believe, already familiar with these positions, and we stabilize queen b6. Here, white's problem is once again that he doesn't have pawn play. In order to stop black's pawn play with e5, he played f4. But this move also causes weaknesses. Look at this careful move by Pragnananda. a6. This is how I want you to play. This a6 little move is very useful. We don't want our b5 pawn to be hanging, and we want to choose a good moment maybe to play a5 later. Now some battle with maneuvering, knight b6, knight c4. All the time black was better. And finally, he's looking for a way to start pushing. Look, he's clearly not in a hurry. He found a way to push b4. Very convincing win by Pragnananda. Very good. So now let us check. We checked all the details of this system. There aren't any more. Let us check this one. So here, g3, b5. Yes, that's another move with another line with e3, another game with e3. a6, yes, and this time white didn't play a4 or c4. She played bishop g2. Arabidze is a very famous player with the white pieces, and with the black pieces, Vusatyuk with a rating of 2300. So bishop b7, castles, bishop e7 or c5, This is exactly the position that we are looking for. Imagine instead of that, what are the options? Entering a Catalan. This is the other option. Entering a Catalan with black and suffering, or maybe trying a way to find some way to get one equal position, or maybe win a pawn with tremendous risk. No, why don't we better play this position, which is very good objectively and without much theory? C5 and bishop b2. This move is not always winning for white. For example, here we will take it, and after this, we can possibly play this move because there is a bishop coming to f6 or to h4. Or we can just play this, look at this move, and when he takes it, d6, intending at some moment to take our bishop and put it here, and this resembles a Benoni, for example, here, or let's say e4, rook e8, bishop f8. This resembles a Benoni, if I may say, with all the good things and the bad things of this opening. But this is a totally acceptable variation for black, unless I'm blundering some. So c5, bishop b2, and he takes here, he takes. If black takes with a knight, white takes with a knight, we will capture here. We will take this pawn, and we will play maybe queen c7 or queen b6, a move like this, queen b6. For example, after this, we happily develop our knight here, and black is better. Look, I found a very nice move. Queen b6 threatening the bishop. After here, we play knight c6, because this threat is annoying. I found a way to deal with it. Here, bishop c3, knight c3, c6, or queen b3. How to continue with black here, please? What do you think? Why did I play queen b6? Didn't I see queen b3? I saw it. I lure his queen to b3 so that I can play. Remember, as a rule, remember, please, as a rule, we do not want to exchange queens in this opening. Remember that, please. As a rule, he has weaknesses, left and right, a king that I can always give a check to this king, so we don't want to exchange queens. He will feel very relieved if we exchange queens. The move is queen c7, but by bringing his queen here, he lost this possibility. He wanted to play this, and after knight c6 to take it. So here he will play something like this, and after this move, knight c6, once again, black has a great game. Finally, we see that in all these positions, we don't really need to know some theory. However, I was shocked a few years ago to discover that in one of these particular positions, which looked very much like all the others, black was about to lose. So what I will show you now is one of the very few things, very few positions that you want to memorize with black, or you may even be clever enough to use it with white. So look, please, we play c5. So far, so good, everything perfect. Bishop g5, very good. Let's play bishop e7, and the position is unclear. Look, please, bishop e7, and the position is unclear and good, indeed. C d4, yes, takes, and a6, please don't double your pawns on f6. a6, and again, it's acceptable and good. However, look at this, after c5, you may try this. If knight a6, which was, to me, it looked like a very logical move, like all the time to play knight a6, white is almost winning by force here. White can play e4 according to my computer. I was in a phase of denial for some time because I was playing this position, at least in glitch games, you know, randomly. And yet here, white is almost winning by force after this, only in this particular position. And if we take it, he has knight c3. If here he plays d5, and we can possibly resign. And if here, again d5, So this is one little line that one needs to remember. After bishop g5, don't play knight a6, play bishop e7 or play c takes d4, preferably bishop e7 with a very good position. Very good. So we have covered this line together with many other lines. I am really proud of these lectures, to be honest, because I have the feeling that I have passed a lot of knowledge to all of the players, maybe even to some grandmasters that will, because we know many grandmasters are buying all these PGMs because nobody claims that he knows everything. Everybody has things to learn by his colleagues. And I believe that I gave you a very good view of my ideas in all these annoying little openings. You may have the feeling that these openings are not dangerous. No, you see now that indeed they are not if we know what to do. Very good. I always connect the theory with the strategy and whenever it is possible with the end games so that I will help you to become more complete players. Thank you all for attending. And bye-bye.